Hi everyone, my name is Huub Hildenbrand. Thanks for tuning into my channel, Huub Hildenbrand Guitar Academia. Today we will talk about what I just did here. We will talk about slides of especially Mir. That's the Indian approach to that. I mean the Indian usage of slides, especially on instruments like mandolin, for example, but also sometimes sitar. But we will get into that. The next 4 lessons are really dedicated to just that. So let's get right into the endless ocean of music. Please follow the link down in the description below. There is a PDF file you should download. And in Indian music, I studied in North Indian classical music in Calcutta. So that's a part of, it's in Bengal, in West Bengal. And there we have these, there is this, you have so many languages in India. So they call it Mir. And this Mir is actually sliding, but the execution is a bit different than what we understand when we slide, because they have either like fretless instruments like the sarod, for example, where you can just slide without having the division of the equal temperament, the frets. Or you do it with bending, what we also will do in a later lesson, like as on a sitar, where you can really bend whole melodies up to 6th interval. You can just bend it, and that way you also don't have the steps in between, like half steps we have. So this is a kind of a translation. What we are doing with slides, or like the Italian term is glissando. So it's an adaptation of that technique. And this is also done like very typically. You can listen to like a mandolin, like South Indian music, mandolin, like Shrinivas is a very, he died already. He was a very great mandolin player. He also played with John McLaughlin. You should check him out. And also there's a really amazing guitarist in South India called Prasanna. And he is also doing all this sliding and very quick and really playing really this Carnatic, this South Indian classical music, like really, really great on the guitar. It's yeah, you should check that out. There's a lot of stuff also on YouTube. I think he also yeah, he also made an instructional DVD. I don't have that, but if you can get a copy somewhere, I think it should be really worth doing that. Okay, what I just did in the introduction of this lesson, I tuned the D string to C, and that way, when I play that, I have also a sarod tuning, and I have a song actually like Sun, that's called Sun, and no, it's actually it changed the name sometimes. New Blossoms. It's also on my solo CD, The Garden of Soul and Sounds, and there it's that. So that's in C major, like Bilaval Tat. It's like purely rock. It's like purely in C major. And yeah, mainly I use these sliding, this mirror technique on the unwound strings, and these are my top 3 strings. Actually, I changed my G string. Originally in this Tomastic package, Bebop 13 I play, there is a wound 21 string, and I always change it to an unwound 20. That's something I really recommend if you play this kind of these kind of strings, more thicker strings, and this 20 is really interesting, like the sounds you can do, and also later this bending stuff, but that's not our topic of today. And I also use oil. That's something also like, for example, sarod players, and I think also sitar players, sitarists. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm quite sure. But especially sarod players, and they play with a fingernail, and they use also this oil. And this is just a waterproof vessel with some cotton wool and some baby oil without any anything else, just pure oil. And also I put some drops of like aftershave to have a bit more like, it's delicious. Okay, and I use this for my fingertips to get it. It's more easier to slide. And one other benefit, you should really try that. One other benefit is that it's not affecting the string too much. So the resistance of the string surface is not really so much working here, because if you don't use that and you use like very quick slides, what you will do, you will heat the string. And if the string is heated, it gets lower, so the intonation is changing. And so this is also a reason. There are 2 reasons. It's more slippery, you can slide better, and it's not affecting the intonation too much. So, and I always have this this vessel with me when I'm in a tune, and I suddenly feel I want to go into that. I can just quickly get some oil on my fingernails. Oh, not fingernails, fingertips. All right, one other thing, when I notate in my notation of these slides, I write an R. And that comes because long ago I decided to translate all these words, slide, pull off, hammer on, bending, German. I mean, I really was like a bit fanatic about the whole thing, because I thought with my mother tongue, with my language, I'm more connected in a way. And I wanted to make I wanted to write a book purely in German, which is really like connected with what I'm doing, how I'm thinking, and so it's a bit a drag, because now I'm doing this channel and I have to retranslate a lot of stuff into English. So, but actually, it's also okay. So I have a lot of I think a lot about these translations to find the right words for some things I only knew the German terms. So it's also a good practice for myself. I'm always happy if I find a new English word which is a translation of something I searched for and couldn't find anything. All right. Anyway, that was again a side story. So I take this Meend oil. Then in the notation of this course here, I mean of this slide Meend course, it's always, I write it. I don't have an extra notation sign. Normally, I write a tie and then a small r. That means, okay, the technique to connect these notes. I use a technique there, which is R, Rutscher in German. It's slide, glissando. But here, because I use almost only slides, it's always if there is a beam. If there is a beam, all these notes are slided. Just the first note of the beamed group, so to speak, I strike only the first note with a da or ra stroke. It doesn't matter, and it also doesn't matter here which finger to use for that. You can choose any finger, and I recommend that you use all of them. And also, sometimes it's quite tough this sliding, so it's good to change the finger from time to time to not injure yourself. So also be careful about that. Maybe if you didn't do that too much before. All right, anything else what we should talk before we go to the exercises? Yeah, and all these fragments which you see on this page 3 now, and there are coming more pages, more exercise, much more exercise in the next lessons. These are just basic exercises we will just go through. These fragments, which are like separated by bar lines or double bar lines, you can sequence, you can go up or down. You don't have to change the sequence. So if I just have like C, D, I can go to the next sequence, D, E, or E, F, but I can also, for example, if I D, E, E, F, I can also do the same downwards. I can play E, F, D, E, C, D. So without changing the direction, because normally you invert the whole intervallic structure to go into the opposite direction. With like, yeah. Okay. All right. So the first. Is there anything more? Oh yeah. There's one more tip I just discovered recently. It's to not play too much with your fingertip, like really like from like orthogonal going on the fretboard, but more with the side. Actually, you can go like this maybe, or like that, or just a bit more flat. So that way, the frets you don't have too much. I mean, you have a bit less of resistance of the frets, so it's easier to come across the frets. So that's something you will find out. Just try that. Put a little oil on the fingers, and then put it with a bit with the side of the finger, and then you see, oh, it's already moving more more easy and more smooth, and it's easier to play. But still, it's not an easy technique. It requires some practice to get that down and quick and really stop at the right points, and it takes some time. I'm still practicing the technique. Okay, I think that's it. Well, there's also something practice in tat or raga. This is not so important now. I mean, you can maybe Google it. A raga moves mostly different up than down, and don't use all the notes in the ascending way as in the descending way. So when you practice like scale-wise motions, you have to be really careful if you say I practice these in a raga, because it moves different. Mainly if you move up, it leaves out certain notes. Very frequently up is like pentatonic, down is the full scale, but there is a lot of variations and different movements there. So we will later on we will go more into detail, more into raga music, Indian classical music, and I will lay out like the different concepts and how we can adopt these concepts in our music on the guitar. All right. In this lesson, we have just these basic scale exercises, and these are exercises when you study classical music, when you're Indian classical music, when you are a sitarist or you play sarod or whatever instrument, or you sing. These are these exercises which you normally start with to get more fluent for like intonation and finding the right spots on the instrument, and you will practice these basic exercises a lot. And it's always about scale. You start with just 2 notes of the scale, sequence that on all scale degrees as you go as high up as possible, or you stay the whole. You can also, if you're a singer, you should stay in the range, of course, of your voice, but you can also think, I'm just using 1 octave for all these exercises. So everything is in that octave. I show you. The very first exercise is like seconds. I pick up the C major scale, and the good thing is I have now a C drone here, like a pedal C. So what I do, I start without a slide, but with a hammer on. I could also but that's a bit weird. I'm also sometimes a bit afraid of the instrument. I don't know, to come from there. But anyway, I do a hammer on first. So. But then my slide is coming. So I do like A, B. And I can have a little vibrato. I can do it a bit slower. But of course, to really practice that stuff, it's about also like playing more fast. So it's a good idea to try to make a fast movement, but a very controlled movement. Don't force and don't tense too much. Always try to be more relaxed and try to do less. It's maybe possible to use less muscles, sense that, and try to be more relaxed. And try to find out how much force is necessary to play that. Okay, so then I go to BC, and when I'm there, I go to the next string, because now I can also play the C. I want to play C D. I can play that here. So whenever I can play on this limb or this fragment of the sequence without an open string on the next string, higher string, or going down, lower string, then I do that. So I go to that string. And always play in between this C. Maybe I can also sometimes play the G, like a fifth with it, C, G, so D, E, E, F, and then I go to the next string. So I don't change before. I'm not D, E, and then E, F. No, I always want to practice these slides. So I always go from fretted notes. Only at first I have to go from an open string. That's all. To do the full range, starting with this lowest unwound string, the G. So F, G. Now I'm just going as high as possible. And when I reach my top note, I invert the whole thing. And you can do it more rubato, but you can also think about time, like okay, you see now I change the string. G, F, F, E, oops, F, E. And so on. And I also can do the reverse movement. So I can so to use the form which I normally use when moving the sequence downward, I can also use the same form when moving upward, and vice versa. I can also do that. Oops. So you have these two possibilities. You can move with this sequence. You can move upwards and downwards, or you use this sequence and you move upwards and downwards. You can also have this. There's also like a variation you can do. This works great when going up. It's like going up, and the same notes going down. As I said, you can really vary the rhythm. The rhythm, it's not about rhythm here. It's really you can find your own rhythm, or you play it rubato. You can also just do it as like a cansoir, like a kind of a grace note. It's called like. Or. Some vibrato here, it's also nice, a little bit. Okay, and now the system here, or the concept, is just very simple. You just add one note after each other. So this were like two notes now. Now you do the same thing, but using three notes. And also there's this possibility again with the same kind of a variation we had before. You can also, if you play it in time, you can also do like really like triplets, yeah, be creative with that, and try to find out ways you like. I mean, you can also go more crazy with that. You can also, I mean, crazy. You can also do like. Yeah, like there are a lot of possibilities, but I wouldn't recommend to think too much about it. I think this exercise, just playing, is the best. Yeah, especially if you like it. I like it. Here it's very hard. Okay, then you go to 4 notes. There becomes much more difficult already. And you can also play that, of course, like slower. Like, be really conscious about that you really end. I mean, you really stop just behind the frets, and don't do like being here, but really behind the frets. Yeah, to really find the right spot. Five notes. Ah, it's difficult. And if you have some trouble with a particular one, just repeat it, or do it a bit quicker or slower. I mean, slower, of course. Yeah, that's a good advice. If you have trouble with one of them, really do it much faster. Okay. Six notes. Yeah. I'm not really using these slides here so much, so maybe because they're so hard. In a way, it's difficult because you need a sort of a sixth sense there, because you can't really sing every note. So if I play if I play this, I mean, in a way, I have to. It's more intuitive. I feel that. I feel where my notes are. It's that kind of a thing. It's not like an intellectual thing, but the longer the phrases are, the harder it's really like to feel as one thing. Does it make sense? I mean, two things happen. One time here, the distances are changing, like between, in this case, between whole steps and half steps, and also the frets go more closer together. So it's something you have to find like a more intuitive way of doing that. Of course, we don't want this sound. That's why it's so important to really stop behind the fret. Otherwise, yeah, you get this buzz. Yeah. And that goes until. The whole octave. Okay, this is very tough. These scale-wise movements, if there's longer portions of the scales, like 5, 6, 7, or 8 notes, it's really tough. And I see it more. I consider that more as a kind of a medicine. You just take that because later on, I think, especially, I mean, for myself, I can say I'm not really using these kind of long scale-wise melodies too much, and you will also see later in the next lesson already that we have like shorter, more interesting patterns and fragments, which we can actually in the third lesson and third and fourth lesson you have to check that out to be really to see that they are actually more easier things you can do, which are much easier to play, but which actually sound much nicer. And don't think, oh, this is so hard and the sound is a bit, I don't know. Stay tuned here, because these are just these basic exercises. This is like the medicine. This is like the practice, the tough practice. What you will go through when you want to study Indian classical music from a guru, from a master musician. There are a lot of these kind of exercises which you do over and over and over, and then they are really, really cool because you really learn your technique. But maybe they are not so inspiring right now for you. And I just know, for example, this octave thing, like the whole octave thing, like for example, Ashish Khan, this is a son of Ali Akbar Khan, and I think also Ali Akbar Khan maybe. They all did, or they are doing these exercises, especially also these octaves. I know that Ashish Khan is really practicing that. Still, he's not young anymore, but he is, So all of these serious Indian classical musicians, they really still practice a lot. I read also an interview with Nikhil Banerjee where he said when he was, he was, I think he died some years, just a few years later after this interview, where he said he practiced like for 4 hours a day for sure. So yeah, of course it's a lifelong journey, and when they really were like practicing with their guru, with their master, they practiced much more, of course. And that's it. I wish I also would have much more time to just practice and sit down and be really like focusing on these on the music and practice and follow this journey. But here in the West, and becoming more and more true also for India and for all countries, you have to do a lot of business stuff and a lot of things, also bureaucracy and like tax and business to survive as a musician. It's also getting more and more hard. But that's another story. Okay, so stay tuned. Next Friday we have the next lesson here, lesson 2 of slides, Mir. And I hope you like these lessons here on this channel. Please don't forget to subscribe. And there's also a possibility to support my work here on this channel. If you follow the link down in the description below to my website, Guitar Academia side of my website, there is also a button where you can donate. This would be really awesome. Okay, thanks for watching and check out the next lesson and the next lesson and the next lesson. My name is Hildenbrand.